I've spent the past 3.5 years as part of the team, and it shifted the way that I'm doing my marketing. So when I tell folks, they're like, how do I get started? How do you keep up on all of this? I actually leave it to Paul and Mike to tell me what I should be paying attention to. My day usually involves with getting into our Slack community for about 25 to 30 minutes a day, listening to the podcast once a week, going on LinkedIn, and then I go to work. I'm not an AI expert. I'm probably a little bit indexing a little higher than your average marketer just because of the business that I work for. But I'm trying to find ways to use AI to help me do my job better. I'm not trying to be an AI expert. And I think we as marketing leaders just need to remember that we still have a job to do. And using AI to help us improve is really our end goal.
Welcome to AI and Marketing Unpacked, where we simplify AI for impactful marketing. I'm your host, Mike Allton, here to guide you through the world of artificial intelligence and its transformative impact on marketing strategies. Each episode will break down AI concepts into manageable insights and explore practical applications that can supercharge your marketing efforts. Whether you're an experienced marketer or just starting to explore the potential of AI, this podcast will equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to succeed. So tune in and let's unlock the power of AI together. Greetings, program. Welcome back to AI and Marketing Unpacked, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts at keeping up with and integrating or layering artificial intelligence into social media, content, advertising, search, and other areas of digital marketing. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to be shown how to prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come on ahead. Now imagine having a marketing superpower that can analyze mountains of data, predict consumer behavior, and optimize your campaigns faster than you can say AI. Well, guess what? That power exists. And it's revolutionizing the way that we drive growth and marketing. You see, in today's hyper-competitive landscape, traditional marketing methods are about as effective as using a flip phone to browse TikTok. But there's a game-changing technology that's transforming marketing from a guessing game into a precise science. It's like having a crystal ball, but one that actually works. You might be thinking, great, another tech buzzword to add to my marketing bingo card. But hold on to your hats, because AI in marketing isn't just hype. It's the hyperdrive for your growth strategies. And who better to be our Jedi Master in this AI-powered marketing galaxy than the incredible Cathy McPhillips. Folks, buckle up, because Cathy isn't just any marketing expert. She's the Chief Growth Officer at the Marketing AI Institute, and she's here to blow your mind. This powerhouse has been recognized as one of the 50 women in AI and a woman to watch in analytics. She's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of AI marketing, but with better hair and a killer sense of humor. Cathy's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk, leading growth efforts for the AI Academy for Marketers and helping countless professionals harness the power of AI to achieve marketing results that are out of this world. Today, Cathy's going to pull back the curtain on the AI growth engine and show us how it's turbocharging marketing results across the galaxy, industries. Get ready to discover how you can leverage AI to not just reach for the stars, but actually grab them. So you ready to accelerate your marketing results to light speed? Let's dive in with the amazing Cathy McPhillips. Hey, Cathy, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to have you follow me around and introduce me wherever I go. That was
I will
amazing.
be your official hype queen anywhere you want. Happy to do that. Could you start, though, by just explaining what you think AI growth engine means? What does that mean to you? And how does that apply to the context of marketing?
Yeah, I think if you just break down those words, it represents like the integration of AI technologies into marketing. So it's enhancing efficiencies, it's driving innovation, it's achieving measurable results. It's doing all the things that we are doing already, just helping us do it better, faster, more efficiently, quicker, cheaper, and in many cases, just better. So it's taking all of our superpowers as marketers and helping us grow our businesses with the uses of all these technologies that are just improving with every single day.
So how do you see it actually transforming, like specifically growth marketing in just the recent year or two?
Well, I think, we talked a lot about ChatGPT. Everyone's like that when we think AI, people are like, oh, ChatGPT. And I truly think that writing and content is the least useful use of AI right now. It helps us understand it. It helps us break it down and say, oh, I actually see a tangible result from my input and then this output that I receive. But we talk a lot about at the Institute that we're all journalism majors, we're writers, we are, we love writing, so we don't use it to write. We do things that we can't do. Data analysis, the amount of data that these AI tools can process and analyze and give back to us in formats that we can actually make, are actionable is huge. So data analysis is a huge one. Personalization, hyper personalization with the messages we're sending out, sending people, we've said this for years. When I was at CMI, when we had content tech, it was right place, right time, right message. And now that's just become an expectation. You know,
Mm.
I think automation, so many of the things we're doing are repetitive, data driven, trying to make a prediction, trying to create something. And all of those things that we're doing that are so critical to the business, but that aren't our favorite things to do, or there is that repetition that you're like, there has to be a better way. Let's work smarter, not harder. Automation is a big part of that. And then efficiency. There's just so much to do in everything that we're doing. And where can we gain efficiencies? And where can we invest our time in other places, in better places for the growth of the business?
I love that point because while I'm not a growth marketer per se, particularly here, with the social media at my side hustle, I'm still finding incredible ways to use AI to help me do things that either I wouldn't have done at all because I didn't have the time, or I would not have done them well.
Right.
Like I am not a copywriter. I am, like you said, like a journalist. I like writing long form articles that help explain complex topics to people. Writing a landing page that converts, that's not something that I would consider in my skill set, and yet I can work with AI to develop my tone of voice, develop my target audience, and then craft really, really good
Right.
landing pages, right? That far exceed what I would have just done on my own. Quite frankly, they were garbage on my own. So I love that. What are some of the key AI technologies or tools that you think marketers really need to be aware of from that concept of driving growth?
So I'm going to go back to your last question for a second, because you were talking about, just efficiencies and filling a knowledge gap and just things like that. So Mike, you've heard this, we talk about this numerous times, that the notion that I'm out in the public eye talking about podcast production is laughable. If you would have known me 4 years ago, you're like, Cathy, you've never done this before. You weren't using AI. You weren't producing a podcast. Amanda at CMI was doing that. And now I'm doing it and I'm talking about it mostly because, or all because, I'm using AI technologies to help me do it. And Claire on our team has since taken over a lot of that process. So I don't want to, when I say I do mean we, but we're using Descript to edit the videos. I didn't know how to edit videos. I had kind of done my children's iMovie, end of the marching band season videos, but now I'm producing a podcast. We are doing our videos for our webinars and things like that using these AI tools. So it's filled a huge knowledge gap for me. It's improved our efficiencies. Claire, who has come on board, who has video experience, it's accelerated her knowledge, the tool, and she's doing more exciting things with it because she can use the tool to do the AI stuff, editing and things like that, and make it even better. So I'm trying to focus on what are the use cases in my day to day that can help me achieve better results, that can have me focus on things that I like doing, that I should be doing, that a human should be doing. And that's where we're finding the tools to help us do all of these things.
I love that example because obviously I can relate to that 100%.
Right.
I have 5 podcasts at Agorapulse, 4 of them active, and then this podcast, which is a side hustle, and I'm able to actually publish 2 episodes a week, and that's thanks to AI. I'm using, a custom GPT with either, Claude or ChatGPT to develop the actual run of show and the questions and all that sort of thing, and then to your point, I'm using Descript to take the editing process really, really down to the bare minimum that I need to actually get it out, and it's incredibly revolutionized how I'm able to push out content and have so many more valuable conversations, to your point, because I'm able to talk to so many more people and work on those relationships thanks to AI.
And I think that's something that you and I are both excel at, not to like pat myself up on the back, but
Yeah.
I'm not an analyst. I'm a communicator and I like talking to people. And if I can invest time in these AI tools, learning them and scaling them across the organization, I can be talking to our customers, going to events. And that's where I thrive. And that's what I love doing. And I love, and that's helping us convert other parts of our business because I'm not sitting there doing things slowly because I don't know how to do them, or even if I do, is that the best use of my time? So
Right.
to go back to your question about what kind of tools are out there, predictive analytics is huge. We're trying to figure out what our customers want, what they need. Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, which brings up the point of Are there tools that are already in your tech stack that you're not taking advantage of all of the capabilities? So before you're like, let's go find a tool, first I'd say go find a use case for finding a tool. And then go to the tools you're already using and say, can you do this for me? What's changed in the past 3 or 6 or 12 months? What can I be doing better with the tools that I'm already paying for? Natural language processing, HubSpot and Marketo are working on like content creation. And, we're trying to use some of the AI tools. We're a HubSpot company. So we're trying to figure out ways we can start using some of the things that are out there that again, we're paying for. Um, Social media analytics, there's just so many opportunities to grow the things that we're already doing and looking at those analytics instead of just broadcasting getting our blog post out a million places or our video out or a podcast. It's like, is this a good use of our time? And those analytics are so critical to all the things that we're doing because we need to make sure that we're optimizing all of our marketing because there's so many things we could be doing right now. I was just talking to someone recently about when I started my career 33 years ago, it was like, you want to be on TV, radio, outdoor, print, that was it. And now it's like we have so many opportunities. But back then it was like you just you had Nielsen, you had Arbitron, you had things like that. But now we know precisely what's going on. And we have so much data. And how can we use AI to help us sift through it all?
And to your point, because of AI and because of the focus on digital marketing, small businesses, even medium businesses have so much better access to that information than they ever would. When I was working with small businesses a couple decades ago, we were looking at billboard advertising. Well, it was, $600 a month. And well, we hope it drives us some business. We won't ever really know, but we hope it does, kind of a situation. Whereas today, there's just so much more options available to us. And I loved all the points that you just made. I wonder if you could share some examples or a case study or success story, whether from your own organization or customers or companies that you've worked with, about how they're effectively using AI to accelerate their marketing results.
One that I really like talking about is Coca-Cola. They've used a lot of predictive analytics to get to know their customers better. The whole share a Coke, was AI based. And then another one I was just at MACON this year. I talked to Mike Conley at the Cleveland Cavaliers and Go Cavs, and he was
Yep.
talking about they're using Perplexity and they're scaling it across the organization. And what I love about this story is that a team member of Mike's when they were looking at what tool they were going to scale across the organization, I think his name was Ben. He went through every department that would be onboarding this technology and found use cases specific to that department and trained them and showed them, if we onboard this tool in this way, here's how it's going to benefit you specifically. And having that knowledge, understanding what each of these departments were doing, how they're going to use this tool, how they can improve, how they can scale, all of that before the tool was purchased and then onboarded is like genius. Because this has been happening for decades. We onboard technologies, AI or otherwise, and if they're not onboarded and trained the right way, you're not going to see the ROI that you were hoping for, and then you just don't purchase it the next. You don't renew, and that's such a missed opportunity for so many folks. And the way that the Cavs were doing it, it's just like that's amazing. So there's better marketing, there's optimized marketing, there's better customer experiences, the fan experience is out of this world, and all of that is because they're using this tool the right way.
Love that example. And a little personal context for all of you listening. You may know that I live in St. Louis, but I grew up in a little town in Ohio, just 45 minutes west of Cleveland, where Kathy's at now. She's talking about MACON, the Marketing AI Conference, which is the premier event. If you're marketing and you want to learn about AI, you've got to go to this event in 2025. They just had their 2024 edition, which was fantastic. I couldn't make it this year. I will absolutely be there next year because that is the event to go to. And of course, it's the home of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for the premier NBA team. So thanks to you for sharing that story because that was terrific. I wonder if you could do a little myth busting for us because a lot of people come to these shows. Some people they've been listening for a long time and they get it, but other people this might be the first time they're listening to this podcast. It might be their first exposure to how AI is truly impacting marketing. So what are some common misperceptions that they might have, particularly when it comes to implementing AI with their growth strategies?
I think complexity. I think people think, how can I even get started with this? And I think that goes back to we do annual research every year, the State of Marketing AI report. And, a lot of folks, lack of training is the number one thing when it comes to people's lack of getting started. And they think it's just so hard to do. And it can be. There are certain things that can be, but if you're looking at like onboarding AI across your organization, if you're looking for some big tech to scale across the org, sure, that takes some time. But if you're trying to look at like quick win pilot projects, look at some use cases. My podcast production is a great example where you just go through and you just itemize, here's the 15 things I do every single week for the podcast. How can I find one or two places where that will have the highest value for me? And what are some ways that we can onboard this super easy? So maybe data isn't the best place to start because you need to get approval from IT and legal and do all the right things from a compliance and governance and that sort of standpoint. But can you take a press release and use ChatGPT to turn it into social posts, to turn it into a blog post? How can you use some of the things you already have and repurpose? Then you can show those results. It saved me 2 hours a week, and I use those 2 hours to do this. And so showing and then going to your leadership team and saying, here's a quick win I just had. Here's an example of AI. Can I do more? So if you are in a regulated industry, don't worry about that because there are other ways besides diving into your data that you can start trying some things. Off of that, data privacy is a huge thing. Our customers' data is our most important asset. And how can we make sure that we are the stewards of that data? And it's working with legal, working with IT before we're doing anything, putting data into some of these tools. It's knowing that our customers' data is going to be protected, our company data is going to be protected. So that's a challenge for sure. It's a huge roadblock in a lot of companies, but there are ways to work around it. So working with legal is critical. And I think the last thing is job displacement, job loss, that the AI is going to come take all of our jobs. So I think we just need to get ahead of that, upskilling, reskilling, figuring out how AI can work side by side with us. So preparing for that because it's here and it's not going away. So how can we make sure that we are doing the best we can with these tools, learning how to use them, learning how to scale it, and just protecting ourselves, or even creating jobs for ourselves that aren't going to go away.
Those are all a lot of terrifically valid points. The one thing that I'll add is that I know a lot of marketers who haven't really gotten into AI yet. They're looking at all the jargon and the nomenclature and the options, and they're feeling overwhelmed because there's a lot to that. And if that's you, I've got two recommendations for you. First, I'll link in the show notes my AI marketing primer. It's free. It just walks you through, what are the different large language models? What does that even mean? What's the difference between Claude and Gemini? Things that you should probably know, just to give you that basic primer understanding of Mark. And the other thing that I recommend is the podcast that Cathy was just talking about. That's the artificial intelligence show, and I've talked about it a lot on this show because that's my go-to podcast every single week. It's a little over an hour, so set aside some time every single week. But we're talking about Paul Raitzer and Mike Allton. They break down every week what's happened this past week in the world of AI. That's usually the extent of what you should know when it comes to the overall AI technology in industry. You don't necessarily need a certification. You don't need to go into the details. You don't understand all the tech and the why. That podcast will cover, I think, most of what you need to know. Folks, we're talking with Cathy McPhillips about how AI is impacting and accelerating growth marketing. And I've got some more questions you're not going to want to miss. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
This episode of AI and Marketing Unpacked is brought to you by Magi, your gateway to making generative AI incredibly simple and accessible. Wondering how to seamlessly integrate AI into your marketing strategy without getting bogged down by complexities? That's exactly where Magi shines. It provides user-friendly AI solutions that empower marketers just like you to innovate and elevate your campaigns without needing a degree in data science. Imagine having the power to generate creative content, insightful marketing data analysis, or even personalized customer communications, all at the touch of a button. Magi isn't just about providing tools, it's about transforming your approach to marketing with AI that's tailor-made to be straightforward and effective. So, whether you're looking to boost your content creation process or want deeper insights into your marketing performance, Magi makes it all possible with a few clicks. No fuss, no hassle, just results. Ready to simplify your AI journey? Visit Magi today to learn how their solutions can revolutionize the way you engage with your audience. Don't just market smarter with Magi. Tap the link in the show notes.
Kathy, earlier you talked a little bit about analytics and that sort of thing. How do you think AI can help marketers better understand and predict customer behavior to drive growth?
I think there are quite a few ways. I'd start with identifying patterns. Some of the things that we think are patterns might be anomalies and we don't might not recognize that. So I think, AI can surface those things. Like like I said, I remember the days of like, we need more data, we need more data. Now it's like we have so much data. Where do we even get started? And AI can help us break that down at these superhuman speeds that we just wouldn't have the time or the knowledge to be able to do that. So AI is helping us surface some of those trends. It's helping us optimize our strategies. It's just giving us, and superpower is such an overused word when it comes to AI, but it really is true. It's helping us focus on the things that we know, the institutional knowledge we have about our companies, our brands, our clients, and help us fine tune all of those things, like creating targeted campaigns, things like that. But it just is giving us the ability to let AI do the work on the analytics and the analysis, and the humans do the work on the strategy and the prediction.
No, that makes complete sense. In fact, I love your little example there of identifying anomalies as anomalies. That's really hard for us as humans. And a correlate to that was we had Andy Christina on the show early on. And he was talking about using AI in analytics for content gap analysis because it's kind of the same concept as humans. We're going to be challenged to identify what's missing, what's not there. I mean, he's talking about looking at 1,000 articles in your archive and determining, well, what haven't you talked about yet that your target audience, your target consumers or customers would be really interested in? And that's really hard. I mean, I've written all the content for my site, but for me to think through the 1,000+ articles that I've written in 10+ years and think about, well, okay, what haven't I written enough about yet? That's really hard for me. And I'm intimately familiar with everything that I've written.
Right.
Imagine, as a consultant or just, a different department of the same organization trying to do that analysis as a human. It's challenging, if not impossible with AI. Not only can we feed all of it, all that data into the AI, but to your point, we get the result in seconds. And then we can have that conversation back and forth, which I really, really love being able to do.
And it takes out some of that bias too. Sometimes
Yeah.
we're looking for a nugget because we kind of know what we want to do, and the AI kind of level sets that and says like, no, no, this is actually the better way to be doing things.
That's a really huge point. Because as a marketer, I may have been and probably was really invested in that campaign that we ran a few months ago. And I really not only wanted it to do well, I needed it to do well,
Right.
but maybe it didn't. And maybe I need the honesty and clarity of AI to say, well, look, this is what actually happened. This is the results that you got. These are the people that you reached. These are the things that you can look to improve for the next time, which is great learning. But yeah, we need that non-rose speckled glasses look at everything that's happening. But speaking of campaigns, how do you see AI helping us to actually maximize our campaigns and improve them, get more ROI, just make them better in the future?
Yeah, for sure. So I started my career as a media planner at an agency here in Cleveland, and so much of my time was spent doing budget allocation. We want this much, here's the weeks we're flighting TV campaigns, or, at the end of my career there, time there, it was analyzing or flighting digital campaigns. And then it was like, okay, let's layer that on top of sales. And oh, the TV must have worked because our sales are up. So now it's like, again, to your point, Mike, it's just matching up those things. But now with it can help us with budget allocation because it can actually tell us more data. It can tell us more of the analytics, but also it can give recommendations. So taking those recommendations and then going in there and doing our due diligence, making sure that that makes sense for the business. So budget allocation for sure, more A/B testing. So in all of our CRMs, we can A/B test subject lines, A/B test copy, all of those things, and get results faster. And even you know an email campaign that I was doing, and say in HubSpot previously, where I would say, okay, here's my list, here's my segments, here's my messaging for these different groups. Let's get the results. Let's build new lists. Let's build new segments, more email copy. So it's always the human doing all of those things. But now there are tools that can take you send your first email, and then the second email, it's just going to do it for you because it knows what your goals are. So the human is still built, here's what my goal is. Here's what I want to be doing. Here's what I want to be saying to these folks. And the AI is like, got it. I'll just do it for you. So it's taking out a lot of that manual work and giving us better results because it's optimizing it for us at a speed that is faster than what we can do.
Love that example, but to your point, the human still needs to be involved. When
Every
I'm
step.
working with yeah, when I'm working with clients, we have an entire framework for integrating AI, the human framework that really emphasizes making sure that the humanity is kept and retained throughout. So I'm wondering how you see that evolving in the very near future. How do you see that role of human marketers evolving as AI becomes more and more prevalent, particularly in growth strategies?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot about, do you remember when like e-cards were a thing? And we were
Oh
like, oh,
yeah.
we can send cards via email. Like, who wants a card via email right now? It was great at the
Yep.
beginning. It was this hot thing. Magazines went away for a minute. We love and books. Like I love my Kindle because I can read in the cold with one hand under a blanket and one hand on my Kindle. And I like taking 8 books with me when I go somewhere thinking I'll actually read 8 books in a week. But, and I like having that in my pocket. Gosh, I love touching paper, and I think
Yeah.
and to that point, we love humans like to communicate with other humans. So we relate to each other, we relate to our emotions, our connections, and all of that. So we don't want to talk to AI. We want to talk to a human. We want to read what a human is saying, but we're able to do more with AI helping us. So I think and just let's just not even skip over the fact that a lot of stuff that AI is doing is wrong. It's giving you it's trying to predict what it thinks you want to hear versus this is factual. So we need to make sure that every output, whether it's copy, whether it's data, whatever it is, a human needs to look at that and make sure it's right. A human needs to put it into the voice of your brand. It needs to be in the voice of what your customer wants to be hearing from you. So every single step of that needs to be updated. And the more you update that, the more and then you put it back into the system, they're then learning, okay, here's what I'm going to do better for Cathy next time I do an output. So, have this relationship now with ChatGPT because every time it gives me something, I then go back and say, here's what I ended up using. And then it's using that for next time. So when I ask for something else, similarly, it kind of knows my style, it knows my format, it knows the things I'm changing. So if I went into ChatGPT and I said, tell me about Cathy McPhillips, here's what she does for a living. She writes in a very fun, friendly, human, engaging, conversational tone, relatable. I'm like, yeah, that's totally what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to, well, one, that's me, but I'm trying to relate to other marketers saying, I'm 1,000% in your shoes and going what you're going through. And now ChatGPT is learning that's my style and is now giving me things in a format that like, yeah, this actually really does sound like me.
That is such a huge point. The default programming for AI is to be helpful, which in a lot of cases we love. They don't complain when we ask them to give us 10 more subject lines and then 10 more subject lines and then 10 more subject lines. I mean, great. If you ask me to do that 3 times, we're done. I've been doing for your own subject lines.
Right.
ChatGPT is like, sure, Kathy, happy to do that for you. But if
And then
you're
I apologize. I'm like, "I'm sorry. Could you
I
just
know,
do that one
right.
more time? Could you slow down and maybe just think for a second?" And it's like, "No problem."
Yeah, it's so happy to help. But if you aren't explicit about what you want, it will be too helpful. When I tell it to summarize a podcast interview, like I will do this. This will show up as a LinkedIn newsletter that I, very transparently say is written by Clue, my AI assistant. But the first couple times I worked with Clue, develop these podcast interview summaries, I would say, pull out some quotes from the guest. It would make up quotes or it would quote me, and I'm like, "No, no, no, no. I'm the host. I'm not the guest. Cathy McPhillips is the guest. Pull her quote directly from the transcript, which you had." I had to be very explicit
Or
about
it's a
that, and
quote
it
that
said,
is
"Oh, I'm
like
sorry." Yeah.
or it's a quote that's so out of context, you're like, "Okay, that's actually not really a quote." "Here's the message I want to give to our readers. What are some key takeaways?" You have just the more examples you give or the more detail you give like, I just spoke to some 8th graders last week, and I said, imagine you're talking to someone in a house with no windows and they can't see outside, and you say, "What should I wear today?" "Clothing." "Okay, well, it's raining out." but it's still warm out. I'm female or what, just the more detail you give, it's like, oh, okay, well, wear this and this and this. But if you start with something basic, you're going to get something basic out of it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were
Well,
all
this
like,
is this
oh,
is
that makes sense.
yeah, this is such a great mindset shift, I think, particularly for, marketers who are new to AI. They're just jumping in. They don't realize the limitations perhaps or the boundaries that you need to place around AI, the pre-work that you need to do to help AI understand the context. What
And
other
it
advice would you
also
give folks like that?
I say
Yeah,
it
go ahead.
also helps, if there's reluctance, saying like, I like writing. I am proud of my work. I like,
Yeah.
digging into the data. Eh, Using these tools involves so much strategic thought and so much critical thinking that you actually are probably using your brain more the way you want to be using your brain than you were before. So just have that shift yeah, I think that's an important thing to focus on is like all the ways that you can be really smart with these tools and find new ways to use it and be innovative with AI.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that's great advice for folks who are new to AI, or maybe they've been doing it a little bit wonky for a while. What other advice would you give to marketers who are relatively new to AI or AI and growth marketing?
Yeah, I said this earlier, but it bears repeating. Start small. Start with a use case that you say, okay, it might be something like I hate writing subject lines. I need to every week I am taking a blog post and creating 10 social posts from it. That takes time. Even if time is a measurement for you. It takes me 2 hours a week. Can we get that down to 30 minutes a week? How can I be reusing that time? So start with a small project. Find a tool. So many things are free right now or have free 2-week trials. ChatGPT, the $20 a month is the best $20 a month we're spending as individuals within our organization. And start small. Measure, how much time did it take me before? What were the results of those social posts? How much time did it take me now? What are the results of those social posts? And even if it's strictly a time savings, we could totally, and that's a win. That's a huge return on your investment of that time. So where can you reinvest that time for? Maybe it's creating more content. Maybe it's talking, like again, talking to your customers, diving into some data, doing something you didn't have the time to do before, and surfacing a whole new project, a whole new revenue stream, a whole new something for your company because now you have more time to be doing that. So while I think we can go well beyond efficiency gains when it comes to AI, I think finding some small efficiencies is a great way to begin. It's a great way to get buy-in from your organization if you are hitting a wall with people saying, we're not going down this road.
That's huge. And to your point, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I,
Oh,
I use and recommend Magi because it's $20 a month. And with that, I get access to paid ChatGPT, paid Genesis, paid Claude. I can use DALL-E 3 or Leonardo or any other image generation tool. So, just a great, easy use case is when I'm writing articles for my blog, instead of using stock photography, I go into DALL-E 3 via Magi and have it create an image specifically for my blog. And I've got a style that I've developed that I just change a little bit for every article. And people have told me now when they see my funny bears in those Star Wars settings, they know it's my content. So I've successfully achieved some brand awareness and connectivity, right, with the brand voice for pennies, really,
right.
and I'm not having to pay for stock imagery and I'm not using stock imagery. That's so not me. Has nothing to do with my brand because it's stock imagery.
And
That's just one easy
you're
use.
you're not pretending that you're not using AI. If
Right.
people look at it, they know you're using AI, but you've built a brand from it. And you could also just use some of these tools my husband works at GE Lighting on the east side of Cleveland, and he was trying to create a logo for their CES booth for one of the, not for a product, but for kind of this fun thing they were doing. And he put some of his thoughts into ChatGPT. He got an image and he was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, you can't use that. You can't copyright that. He's like, I don't want to copyright this. And he said, "Nor am I the designer," but he said, "I can give this is," he's like, "I gave enough detail that I was able to get something that I wanted." All the words were spelled wrong. Dolly stinks at spelling words right. But he took it to his designer and he said, "This is what I'm picturing," versus this back and forth of this designer that you're paying for to create this image for him. And he's like, I was able to verbalize what I wanted just by showing him this piece of paper or, sending him this JPEG of here's kind of where my head is. Make it ours, make it better, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we did a whole episode just about how you can use AI for prototyping, and that
Yeah.
was a central point of the episode, just how much time and money you can save, whether you're the business that needs the asset and you're working with a consultant, or maybe you're the consultant, the agency, the graphic designer, right? And you want to quickly draft up some ideas and show them to a client. So, what do you think about these? Is this the direction you're looking at? You could do that real time on a discovery call
Yeah.
before you actually go into the actual, back and forth of the process. So that's a great example of time savings. Thanks for sharing that, Kathy. What about looking ahead? What kinds of emerging AI trends are you seeing that you think are going to have the biggest impact on marketing growth? And I'm not going to ask you to look 5 to 10 years in advance. AI is always trying to get me to ask these questions. And I'm like, this is again where the human needs to be involved, right? Because the
Like
human knows no one knows what's going to happen in 5 years with AI,
5
but
weeks. Yeah.
5 weeks maybe. VC coming up.
Well, to that point, Paul talked about something at MACON this year. We put the video on YouTube last week and someone wrote, "This is outdated." So I went back into YouTube and changed that link to say, "We know this was recorded on September 12th." So like even 5 days sometimes is too long. But I think a couple of things. I think, the way we are searching on the internet now, we're going to Perplexity for searches instead of Google. How we're using, how SEO can be how AI can improve our SEO. Ethical AI. I think ethical AI is like such a critical and important thing. How are we using these tools? There's so many ways this could go south and I think there are more good people in the world than there are bad. So we just need to be the leaders in the marketing world who are doing it the right way, using these tools the right way, being ambassadors for the tech and for all of these processes that we're using. And I think hyper personalization, I think people are expecting to not receive something irrelevant from the brands they're following, from the companies they're looking into. So the more personalized without getting overly creepy, how we can use AI to deliver personalized messages when people want them through advanced analytics and things like that is really huge.
I love the point about not too creepy. That was something we talked with Zanti Howe about in an earlier episode, and how much fantastic data personalization you can do today, but still brands have to be careful and aware. She shared a story of, Target identifying with AI expectant mothers well before they would traditionally, tell people and make announcements and that sort of thing. It was, I understood the idea. The idea was to make sure that they're getting in front of these expectant mothers before they're even ready to start buying all the things that they have to buy. And so now Target's top of mind. But imagine now they're sending direct mail pieces to expectant mothers who at that point actually probably haven't even said anything to the other people in their household.
Mm,
And now it's Target that's sharing the news that this person is expecting when other people didn't even know yet.
yeah.
That was a problem. That was a miss when it
And
comes to
you're a parent.
using
You
it.
wait, you wait 3 months because you're crossing your fingers that everything goes well. Like how
That's
oh,
exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah, but they used AI to understand that even though you haven't said anything publicly in that first trimester, your spending habits and things that you're buying, I don't know what it was, if it's supplements or what, but you start to buy things that are strong indicators. Oh, okay, this person's expecting. Yeah, that was a big miss. But those are the kinds of things that are happening, and I love that you're bringing up so many valid points for folks. But I know we've just touched the surface, and for folks who want to know more, they want to connect with you, they want to learn from you, because you've been amazing. Where can they go?
So marketingaiinstitute.com, that's our website. I would say a few free places that I would start with us is the Marketing AI or no, we changed the name. We rebranded. It's the Artificial Intelligence Show. It drops every Tuesday morning. Paul and Mike do an amazing job. And as a marketer, like I said, I've been doing this for a few decades. I've spent the past 3.5 years as part of the team, and it shifted the way that I'm doing my marketing. So when I tell folks, they're like, how do I get started? How do you keep up on all of this? I actually leave it to Paul and Mike to tell me what I should be paying attention to. My day usually involves with getting into our Slack community for about 25 to 30 minutes a day, listening to the podcast once a week, going on LinkedIn, and then I go to work. I'm not an AI expert. I'm probably a little bit indexing a little higher than your average marketer just because of the business that I work for. But I'm trying to find ways to use AI to help me do my job better. I'm not trying to be an AI expert. And I think we as marketing leaders just need to remember that we still have a job to do And using AI to help us improve is really our end goal. So that's the AI, the artificial intelligence show. Once a month, we have an intro to AI class that Paul does, and I am on there fielding all of the audience questions, which is amazing. And so once a month, it's just intro to AI. I forget the website. I don't know. I'll add it to the show notes.
Yep.
And
Link to it
we've
below.
got blog content, we've got research, we've got tons of free stuff on our website. And then if you're interested in more, we've got some paid educational offerings. We have Maycon that's next October. Or just reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you have questions, I would love to help you in any way that I can.
Love it. In fact, I love your mindset so much, Cathy. That might be the first time that I use that closing segment as the opening segment of the show, because I think that was so valuable. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you, everyone, for listening. That's all the time we got for today. But like I mentioned before, if this is your first foray into the world of AI and marketing, I've got that perfect resource for you, that AI marketing primer designed to quickly get you up to speed. I'll have that linked in the show notes along with everything else that Cathy and I talked about today. In the meantime, welcome to the grid.
Thanks for joining us on AI and Marketing Unpacked. I hope today's episode has inspired you and given you actionable insights to integrate AI into your marketing strategies. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and consider leaving a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts and answer any questions you might have. Don't forget to join us next time as we continue to simplify AI and help you make a real impact in your marketing efforts. Until then, keep innovating and see just how far AI can take your marketing. Thank you for listening and have a fantastic day.